Hey guys, it's Wednesday, and that means it's time for a comic review video. So, moving right ahead, we are starting this week with Superior Spider-Man, number 15. Um, this is the beginning of a new arc. As you can probably tell by the cover, it's Spidey versus Hobgoblin. Of course, it's a little more complicated than that. At the end of the last issue, we got a hint that the Green Goblin is up to something. Indeed he is. He's kind of consolidating all the power that Kingpin lost after Spider-Man raided his compound in the last issue. But this is really more of a just Spidey Hobgoblin dealio. Main thing, very simple premise. Hobgoblin is now out of work. Of course, Kingpin was hiring him. Kingpin's gone. He's out of work. Needs money. So he starts going on a crime spree, basically. And for some reason, Spider-Man's Spider-Bots can't track him. We later find out this is because of the Green Goblin's tampering. But so it's kind of a game of cat and mouse. We see nice spread over here. Hobgoblin on top, doing a bunch of robberies. Spider-Man kind of chasing him around, not understanding why he can't catch the guy. And kind of standard, just superhero fare. Not really much to talk about. A few of Spider-Man's closest friends are still suspicious that he's acting so differently. Still something, you know. Their spider sense is going off, wink wink. And what else happened? Not much else. I mean, basically that's the whole comic. Is Spider-Man hunting Hobgoblin, and at the very end, Spidey finds out who this new Hobgoblin is, and basically puts an APB out on him, which is pretty neat. And we'll see how this concludes. It's a 2-issue arc, so we'll see how it concludes next month. All said and done, okay comic. Just gonna put it away now. Really should wait until after. I'll wait until after the video to put all the comics away, so I'm not just constantly ducking behind things. So moving on now to DC, we have Green Arrow issue. What issue is this? 23. Conclusion of the arc started last month. So another short arc, and overall pretty good conclusion. I mean, Green Arrow is definitely improving. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. It's one of the better books. This one especially, we get a backstory on the woman that Ollie rescued last issue, who is another archer tied in with this whole big conspiracy involving Oliver and his father and all that. So we get another pretty good fight scene with them, facing Captain Vertigo and his security. But the main thing of this comic is we find out more about the whole conspiracy thing when the mysterious lady, I forget her name, anyway, we find out that she and Oliver's father had a baby together, who is now the little girl raised by Komodo, who has been the villain of this big thing, or at least one of the main henchmen of the villain. And so the whole backstory, her whole backstory is presented in this really cool style. At least I think it's really cool. And this takes up a good chunk of the book. And it's, I just think it's really well done, the whole thing. And, I mean, this was the end of this arc. So we do have a confrontation with Count Vertigo. Ends pretty well. Overall, this book has a nice balance of action and backstory, and exposition. So, I mean, yeah, Green Arrow's definitely looking up. One of the better comics right now, but, I mean, that's not surprising considering who's writing it, Jeff Lemire. And at the very end, we get a tease, of course, they have to start a new arc. And I think this is a reintroduction of this character. Pretty interesting character. Not going to spoil who. You'll find out next week, or next month, rather. But it is another famous DC martial artist who is making his appearance in the New 52. looking pretty good. That's all I gotta say. Pick it up. Now we move on to, I said, I think last week or last, whatever, I said before that I stopped picking up this comic, but I figured, you know, oh wait, I'm gonna keep on reading it. So I am. That comic is Green Lantern. So in this we find, pretty sure it's the beginning of a new arc. Last arc was the end of the battle on Oa with all the new recruits. Sorry, I'm playing with my hair a lot. I'm probably just making myself look really dumb, but I don't know. Nervous habit. Not that I'm nervous or anything. But, yeah. So, Green Lantern. We see the aftermath of the battle on Oa. Hal is kind of being really rash about everything. He decides to hunt the escaped prisoner who escaped during the riots and killed the Lantern. He decides to go after her himself, leaving Kilowog basically in charge of the Lanterns. And so, a couple pages into this comic, that whole thing is abandoned, as Hal goes off on his own, where he finds the prisoner, who has become a Star Sapphire, and they have a battle of the, well, not of the wills, but a battle of the colors, I guess, love versus will. And Star Sapphire comes out, well, the new Star Sapphire here, pretty much comes out on top, manipulating Hal's love for Carol Ferris, who we find out is in danger by this guy, who I'm pretty sure is the big Green Lantern, just the Green Lantern universe threat right now, has the power to disable the rings. Kyle Rayner's having some trouble. I don't read New Guardians, so I wouldn't really know about what's going on there. But yeah, this is I don't know, I enjoyed it. I do enjoy Green Lantern. But this is kind of a just a nothing happened kind of issue. They're obviously still setting up something. This is just kind of a, I guess, a breather after the battle in the last issue, building up to this, to the big guy who's a threat now. The guy I showed you fighting Kyle Rayner. Where's the spread? This guy. So just kind of a transitionary issue right now. So not much to say about it. Moving on to Action Comics issue 23. 23, yeah? Yeah, 23. The conclusion of the arc started last. A lot of two-issue arcs, which I'm enjoying. And I said that I haven't really been enjoying Action Comics recently. Don't really think Scott Lobdell's doing a great job. But this comic was actually pretty entertaining. The thing about Scott Lobdell, what I've noticed is that he uses a lot of elements from the Silver Age. Most strikingly, these yellow narration boxes that are just a third-person narrator, just telling you, just narrating the story, which is kind of a carryover from that era of comics. I don't really see that often. And the reason I bring this up is because this is a very kind of Silver Agey issue. It's very action-heavy. Whole thing's basically a fight scene. It starts off with Superman versus the Pax Galactica, before we find out who the real big bad of this issue is, and it's this guy called Galacta, or Laxus. He's basically Galaxus. He devours worlds. So you have a big threat, Superman versus the big threat, and it's a big fight. Everyone's fighting. Superman gets blasted, and I already said this is the conclusion of the arc. So Superman gets blasted, he gets better, and he takes out the big threat guy. All very, you know, very, I guess, very self-contained. You just have a few fights. You have Superman sacrificing himself, coming back, beating the guy. And it actually has like kind of a very Silver Age ND too. The Pax, I mean, I don't mind spoiling it because it's not a really story of the issue. Superman beats up the monster. Pax Galaxia are like, oh, we are in your debt. And Superman's like, I don't know, just go home or something. And just kind of a very lighthearted, not heavy at all issue. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was competently done. Like I said, it's not... For what it is, for a very simple Superman out in space beating big monster comic, it's very good. I'd pick it up. I'd pick up the issue before it, too, just so I have this complete set. You know? If this is what Action Comics becomes, and it's all very kind of Silver Agey, I could totally live with that, and I would enjoy it, because we don't really get enough of that. So, all very cool. Especially with Superman, because like Superman only does like 2 stories really well. Kind of these very Silver Agey silly books where he just beats up a big thing. Or like a very kind of character study, but that takes a lot of thought, a lot of planning, you have to, a lot of talent. So if this is just what we're getting, I'm completely fine with that. That's really cool. Next comic up is Detective Comics issue 23, where we continue this Wrath thing. So last month or last week, whatever, we had a little break. We had the annual, so now we're back into this story, and lots of very simple issues this week. So this is just Bruce Wayne going after Caldwell, who he believes is Wrath, but going after him as Bruce Wayne. And a lot of this issue is Bruce Wayne and Caldwell kind of doing the out-of-suits thing, you know, the business suit, power suit, with them negotiating the buyout of Wayne Enterprises. Of course, Bruce is all very, I'm not selling, I'm just here to talk. They have a fight on a rooftop as Caldwell is just training and he can't, you know, be away from his busy fitness schedule. But Bruce is all happy to oblige. Meanwhile, Alfred hacks into the Caldwell building mainframe security stuff to find out that Caldwell is PMCing it up, private military contractoring it up. And at the end, we get the Batman versus Wrath set up, probably for next issue, which I actually don't know if they're doing, because, of course, I wanted to say it now. Next month for DC is Villains Month, where it seems like they're kind of taking a break from the stories, doing a kind of crossover thing with the Villains United. So that's why we see a lot of arcs kind of ending, I feel, except for Green Lantern and this. But I guess they're continuing it next issue because they have the just next showdown. But yeah, I guess kind of like Green Lantern, this was more of a transition comic, but still better done. You get a lot of Bruce. I like Bruce, but you still get, you know, it's very well paced for a transitionary comic, and you get pretty good setup for the next thing. You do get a Batman fight in the beginning that's pretty entertaining. But overall, you know, just kind of a exposition transition comic between 2 big events, and not really much to say, but competently done. So, yeah. And our final comic this week is The Movement, issue number 4. Again, the end of an arc, but this is unlike the others because this is still only issue 4. We get a lot of backstory. We get a backstory for most of the main players in the Movement, in the little team they got there. So the framing device is the rescue of what's her name? Not Vengeance Moth. What's her name? The girl with the wings. Purple. Fuck. What's her name? I don't know. Anyway. This is driving me crazy. It's not Tremor, not Rat, Mouse. It's not Virtue, it's not Burden. which why can't I even find her in this at all? I can't like to show you a picture, but for some reason I can't even find where she is in this at all, which is not good. Okay, here. Let me find a good actual... Okay, so they don't really get a good shot of her, but this is the best shot I got. Her. She's still kidnapped by the police. So the framing device is the movement. I'm just calling it the movement. The underground, whatever. They're, the framing device is them rescuing her from the police, but the majority of this is a backstory. We get a backstory for Mouse. We get a backstory for her. I wish I could remember her name. We get a backstory for Burden. We get a backstory for Tremor. And so yeah, a lot of backstory. You find out more about these characters. It is all kind of very, very heavy, very exposition heavy. So kind of a dry issue, all in all, but not terrible. And I wish the backstories were done kind of more organically. But I guess, you know, by issue 4, we still really don't know anything about these characters. It kind of makes sense for them to just tell it, okay, blah, 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 blah. And the framing device does pop in enough where it's not a complete flashback issue. Ties up the current arc and sets up the next one pretty well with the police, with the raid on the police station going so well that it has inspired other people in other cities to make their own teams. And I love this guy over here, just the guy with the cricket bats. It's like, that's just great. The cricketer or whatever. So I really like that. Overall, I guess kind of a required comic if you want to keep reading the movement, because you do get a lot of backstory, but not a particularly exciting issue. Dino one that had to be done, I guess. So that's it for this week's comics. Like I said, next month, I guess there's only the first one, but next month all of these will, well, not all of these, but a lot of these will have Villains Month arcs or issues. And of course next week there'll be more comics that I'll review. I'll probably go over Villains Month again because I'll probably remember, oh yeah, they're doing the Villains Month thing. So that's that is that. So not really any bad comics, but I'll kind of meh. Action was, I think Action might have been the best comic this month, which is kind of surprising. But you know, sometimes that's how it is. Little Silver Age just does the trick. So I've rambled on too long at the end, so I'm just gonna sign off now. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Comment if you want to, and next week more comics if you're into that. Okay, cool.